Three unfinished towers rise above the corner of South Figueroa Street in downtown Los Angeles. They are not ruins in the traditional sense. They have no history of occupation, no ghosts of former tenants, no patina of decades spent standing in the rain. They are brand new. The concrete is fresh. The rebar is clean. And every visible surface, every floor, every column, every exposed wall climbing 40 stories into the Southern California sky is covered in graffiti. Not tags, not scrawls. Full murals, wild style letters 10 feet tall, spanning entire building faces visible from the 110 freeway a quarter mile away. On certain nights, with the right wind, you can hear the steel cables on the unfinished crane ticking against the structure in a slow, arrhythmic beat, like a clock that lost count of the hours a long time ago. No one inside is listening. No one has ever been inside. This is Oceanwide Plaza. It cost $1.2 billion to abandon. Day and night, the towers hold their position above Figueroa, facing the arena's neon glare with blank, windowless eyes. The soundscape is thin, just the distant hum of traffic, the echo of a basketball game's final buzzer, and the faint, metallic tick of crane cables brushing against steel. On the sidewalk, the towers cast a cold shadow over the street vendors and arena crowds, their unfinished columns rising behind chain-link fences and warning placards, untouched by tenants or workers. The concrete is unweathered, but every inch is claimed by color. Wild murals, sprawling letters, intricate faces, and symbols that seem to multiply with every week. Spray paint drips down elevator shafts and stairwells, bleeding into the raw gray of the structure. No retail glass, no hotel lobby, no light from within, just the open, silent grid of floors, stacked 40 stories high, each one a stage for trespassers and the wind. At ground level, the plaza is all absence. No music from the promised promenade, no foot traffic but the occasional tagger or security guard, boots crunching broken glass. The only movement comes from plastic fencing flapping against rebar and the flicker of police lights reflecting off the murals. Here, the city's most expensive unfinished dream sits across from its busiest arena, visible to thousands every day, and yet as unreachable as a sealed vault. The air is heavy with waiting, as if the whole block is holding its breath, caught between what was supposed to be and what refuses to leave. In 2013, Oceanwide Holdings paid $296 million for a strip of asphalt across from the arena, a record sum for a parking lot even in Los Angeles. On paper, it was a coup. 4.6 acres of prime downtown land, already zoned for towers, snapped up by a Chinese conglomerate, eager to plant its flag in the heart of the city. The deal was announced with the language of conquest and promise. Oceanwide's board called it a very important step in its global expansion, and filings to the Shenzhen Stock Exchange described the site as a flagship for the company's international ambitions. The vision, unveiled in 2015 in a press kit, was as bold as the price: 3 glass towers rising from an 8-story podium, their forms drawn by Callison RTKL. The centerpiece was a 49-story Park Hyatt hotel, a first for Los Angeles, with 184 rooms stacked above 164 luxury condominiums. Flanking it, 2 40-story residential towers brought the total to 504 high-end units. Below, 166,000 square feet of retail and a public promenade, wrapped in a 32,000 square foot LED ribbon, an illuminated promise of commerce and spectacle. Green roofs, amenity decks, and a sky bridge to the arena completed the fantasy of a seamless downtown experience. The project carried a price tag of $1.2 billion and depended on flawless execution and a steady flow of capital from both sides of the Pacific. Offshore equity, U.S. construction loans, and a standby line of credit from a Chinese state bank formed a delicate financial scaffolding. The land alone cost nearly a quarter of the total budget, a bet that required every other piece to fall perfectly into place. The blueprints were ambitious, but the numbers, like the towers themselves, demanded height, speed, and above all, uninterrupted funding. Excavators first clawed into the asphalt in October 2015, trading the old parking lot for a forest of steel pilings and rebar. Lend-Lease, the contractor charged with realizing the vision, drove caissons deep into the ground, over 100 feet, to carry the weight of what was to come. The podium slab rose, then the towers themselves, floor by floor. A new level poured nearly every week. By mid-2017, the podium was solid concrete, stretching the length of a city block. The elevator cores shot upward, outpacing the surrounding skyline, while crews bolted steel and poured columns under the relentless Los Angeles sun. Permit logs from the city's Department of Building and Safety tracked each milestone, core to level 10, then 20, then 30. The tallest shaft reached its full height in early 2019, 49 stories of raw ambition, flanked by two 40-story residential towers, their skeletons joined at the base by a massive unfinished platform. The hum of activity never let up. Trucks delivered glass panels and HVAC units. Welders lit up the dusk with sparks. Progress reports from Lend-Lease described a project on schedule, with over 1,100 workers at its peak. Then, in October 2019, the momentum vanished. Payrolls froze, subcontractors packed up their gear, and the last concrete pour hardened in silence. Overnight, the site transformed from a living organism to a sealed vault. Cranes locked in place, scaffolding abandoned mid-climb, all work stopped. The towers, complete in form but empty inside, were left exposed to the elements, a monument to a promise interrupted. The collapse began not with a crash, but with the silent refusal of a wire transfer. In late 2019, $150 million in promised mezzanine funding hung in limbo, trapped behind the digital gates of China's State Administration of Foreign Exchange, known as SAFE. The agency's new rules, drafted in Beijing boardrooms far from Figueroa Street, required every outbound dollar above $50 million to clear a bureaucratic gauntlet. Oceanwide's request stalled, flagged as a high-risk outflow. The capital pipeline snapped shut overnight. On the ground in Los Angeles, the effect was immediate and absolute. The construction loan covenants depended on a continuous flow of funds. The moment the Chinese bank's transfer failed, the U.S. lender froze its own disbursements. Payroll stopped. Invoices stacked up. The contractor locked the gates and walked away. The towers, still gleaming in their unfinished armor, became a monument to a vanished promise. Too complete to raise, too underfunded to finish. A finance scholar at Tsinghua University described the predicament as a double lock. First, SAFE's outbound controls sealed off the developer's cash in China. Then the default on the U.S. loan triggered a legal freeze, trapping the asset inside a web of liens and litigation. Money could not flow in, and title could not move out. The result was a $1.2 billion project immobilized by two invisible locks. One set in Beijing, the other in Los Angeles. The towers became a physical ledger of global risk, their empty floors recording every block transfer and every missed payment. In the shadow of the arena, the double lock held fast, and the city inherited a new kind of ruin, one built not by time or disaster, but by the friction of policy and promise. A stack of more than $200 million in mechanics liens now binds every inch of the towers to a legal gridlock. Contractors, steelworkers, elevator crews, each one has a claim, each claim a lock on the property's future. The city, unable to force a sale or demolition, spends $3.5 million a year on security, including fencing, patrols, and insurance against the unknown. The payroll freeze in 2019 left hundreds of workers in limbo, their wages frozen in court filings and unanswered calls. A city official, voice hoarse from council sessions, points to the audit report. No statutory authority to condemn, no clear owner to serve. Meanwhile, a forensic engineer's notes record moisture seeping into the concrete cores, chloride content edging past the safe threshold, 0.55% by weight and lab reports, with rumors of 0.6% in unfiled memos. The steel inside is quietly rusting, invisible but relentless. Above ground, the towers wait, their fate suspended between courtrooms, chemistry, and the slow grind of time. Spray cans hiss before dawn, and the towers become a vertical gallery, their concrete faces layered with wild-style tags and murals that climb higher each week. Crews from across the city scale to the 20th floor, their work chronicled by drone pilots and street art archivists. A graffiti leader known only as Vex describes the towers as the city's last blank page, a place where abandoned ambition meets restless hands. In October 2022, a base jumper's leap from the unfinished roof, captured in a single dizzying shot, racked up over 6 million views online, turning the towers into a viral spectacle as much as a civic embarrassment. Explorers and artists debate whether the site is a monument to failure or a new kind of landmark, even as city officials weigh three futures: a costly completion, a demolition that rivals the original budget, or endless stasis. The towers stand at a crossroads, their fate undecided, their walls a map of the city's imagination and uncertainty. Across Figueroa, 3 towers glare in broad daylight, new skeletons sealed by capital controls and local inertia. Each month, security costs exceed $500,000, yet nothing moves. Their presence is a ledger in concrete, promises outlasting money, ruin without memory. In Los Angeles, speculation builds monuments no one can claim.